All right, we'll take questions for Kurt.
Kurt, first win. Obviously, it's gotta feel good. How good does it feel, and how pleased are you with how things went?
It feels great. It really does. We came out after Penn State, and we knew we had a lot to work on. We had a good week of practice. We were sharp. Watched a lot of film. We knew we needed to come out and give Youngstown something to cheer about. Give Coach Wolford his first win, of course. Personally, it was my first one as well, so it was very exciting.
What was the biggest area of improvement that you saw? So week 1 to week 2 is the biggest improvement. What was the biggest improvement?
I think we were sharper. We really cut down on the penalties. We cut down on the mental mistakes. We played more as a team, I think. We had nearly 300 yards rushing. Offensive line did great. And I think that's really what led to the win.
Kurt, it's human nature after you play Penn State then to play a team the level of Butler. So do those improvements stick with you now with Central Connecticut State? Again, one of those teams that are in the same line as Butler.
I think so. I think one of the biggest things Coach talks about is improvement every week. Every week the season's going to get tougher and tougher. They know us more. They've seen more games that we run, more game film that we have. And each week they study us more and more. So they're going to know us a little bit better. So therefore, we have to improve and be sharper every week.
With that being said, no 3-and-outs against Butler. Was that a sign of the offense improving, or was it the level of competition?
I think it may be a little bit of both. Obviously, Penn State's a great team. Butler's a very good team as well. They were conference championships last year, but we definitely improved. We were sharper. We were more focused, and playing in the ice castle really helps.
When teams study you, they're going to see a lot of different guys carrying the football. Can you talk about that stable of running backs? I mean, a lot of guys got a lot of yards.
Yeah, they're all very good, and we could go, 1 to 5. Anybody can carry the ball, I think. It's really hard to game plan for because there's running backs that have different tendencies, maybe different strengths that they may have. It's really definitely very hard to game plan for, and I think I'm just glad we don't have to game plan.
Does it help your development in any way?
Having the running backs, yeah, it's great. Anytime it takes a lot of the pressure off. When we have running backs that are going to run for 300 yards, and obviously I told you the offensive line did great. But no, there's not as much pressure on me. But I can manage the game a little bit better, and when we have to convert and pass on 3rd down or pass on 4th down, we feel confident enough we can do that.
Does it change the way you manage your game?
A little bit, not too much though. We still have to go out and execute whatever play we feel is best, and I think that's what worked for us.
Kurt, I'm going to knock on wood, but no turnovers in the first 2 games.
Thank you.
What's been the key for that?
I think just being smart, and like I said, managing the game. One of the biggest things is decision making with Coach Montgomery, and he's really tutored all of us quarterbacks well. And ball security was one thing we work on every week. Every Tuesday practice we'll probably have today. Taking care of the ball, keeping it high and tight, and I think the running backs do a great job of that. Also with the receivers, but decision making is huge.
Do you feel more comfortable now with the home game under your belt? Throwing the ball a little bit. I mean, obviously the first game at Penn State with the crowd and everything, but now you're back home and you got 2 games under your belt now. So are you more at ease?
Yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable. Things, every game, like I told you last week, they're slowing down, and it's working for me, thanks. Yeah.
I know it's early in the week, but based on what you know so far, how does Central Connecticut compare to Butler in terms of their skills and their schemes? And
I think they're very similar to Butler. I watched a little bit of film yesterday, and they run the same type of scheme, and trying to think their players, they're relatively the same athleticism. But no, they're gonna know us better, like I said before, and it's gonna be a tougher game for us. We've got to come back and respond.
Is it hard not to look ahead to conference play?
A little bit. I caught myself thinking about it yesterday. One of my friends texted me, and I was telling him about the game, and it's a little hard, but I think we stay focused. Coach Wolford keeps us focused, and that's one of the main things that's going to help us win games here.
How important is this week, knowing the conference is there, and obviously you're focused now on this week's game, but how important is it to come through with a clean game, as positive as possible, so you go into that conference game after this one?
I think it's fairly important. I think momentum definitely is going to help us. Having 2 wins going into Southern Illinois is going to be huge. But like I said, it's just more opportunities for us to get sharper, go out and play against another team before we get into tough conference play. And one of the tough conferences in the nation.
Give us a little scouting report on Central Connecticut's defense, what you're going to see.
Like I said, they're a lot like Butler. They do 4-3 front. They bring some blitzes, maybe a little bit more than Butler had. But very similar. I think we'll game plan same type of thing. We're gonna add a few new things, I think.
Your numbers weren't quite as good, obviously, against Penn State and against Butler. Was rain a factor? Was them taking away Dom a factor? And what do you think was?
I think, they did take away, in terms of stats, they did take away some of what we may have done against Penn State, but we had, I don't know how many carries the running backs had. Our game plan was, we're gonna want to run, and that's what we were able to do. We were able to push them with, Jermaine and Adaris had great games, so did Jordan Thompson. Even when, Torrin Pace got in there, they all did well. And if that stops working, then we'll be able to throw. But if it works, we're gonna go with that.
Kurt, how much leeway do you have in changing a play at all, if any? I know you guys line up and you look over to
Yeah.
Coach Longo.
I do have some freedom, and I think the more games that I play, the more freedom I may have. I'm still learning, and I have a lot to improve on still. And I think the more film study I do, and the more games that I go through, I'll be able to do a little bit more.
Is that a selected audible that you can go to a selected number of plays, or one or two, or just, or does it depend?
It really does depend. I think there's times where we call a play and we see what the defense gives us, and I have the freedom to say this is a good front that they have. That this is what we want to run to. And other times I may be unsure, and that's when I look over the sideline. But like I said, the more times that I get in that situation, I'll be able to change out of it.